can't inspire people if I'm on a 9 to 5 job. That's why I choose to do my own business.
A lot of people start business and they fail. What are those essential skills, the qualities it takes in running a very successful business?
And number one of it is training. It is important that people get trained before they start any business. Yes. But a lot of people are not being trained. So they just go into business with assumption, most especially in Africa.
So how do you as an entrepreneur manage your time?
You need a check and balance between your life, that's your own personal life, and the business life. In trying to balance your personal life or your family life with your business life, you must have the time you give to your own business personally and the time you give to your own self. Yes, and that's where employability comes in. You don't employ people who you are smarter than to work with you. Otherwise, they will steal your time. If I employ you, for instance, I employ you as an accountant into my organization, you should know accounting better than me. I shouldn't know accounting better than you or try to prove that I'm the boss here and try to prove that I know everything.
All through your journey as an entrepreneur, what are those mistakes that you made and you've learned as a lesson that you don't want others to go through?
Some of the things I learned is the ABC of business. The next thing for me to do that I used to do that I think people should do is to get a coach. China came with phones, different phones. In those days, they will tell you, okay, this is not Nokia, this is China, Chinko. We used to call it China phone, you know. So quantity will become quality over time. Fake product will become quality over time. Because as you are producing more with boldness, you are learning the things that could work and the things that cannot work. And then now people are no longer talking about Chinko. If anybody is using Techno now, you can't call it a China phone. Can't. You see now, the word China phone is gone already. And because they have the boldness to start,
they kept on producing.
They kept on producing until quantity became quality.
Welcome to Light Africa TV. Of course, you know this is the only platform where we bring you the latest and hottest gist and trends. And we also discuss educating and inspiring matters on sports, spirituality, and entertainment generally. So my name is Goodness Otunamaka, and that will be your host for today. So with me here, I'm with Mr. Sunday Peter Glover, and we'll be discussing on the issue of how to start a business and down to why business fail in Nigeria, Africa generally. So Mr. Peter, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, Mr. Peter, in the past years of your entrepreneurship as the business and management consultant, so how have you seen, like, what's business all about? A lot of people go into business not knowing what it entails. So that's why we host you today, so that you can enlighten us and give us more details of what we need to know about business, because I myself, I don't really know much about business.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
All right, the first thing I would say here is that, when it comes to business, most especially in the Africa context, a lot of people do business to escape poverty. But I want to say here that business is life, and life is business. So it depends on what you are selling. So it's either you're making profit or you're making losses. So our daily lives is all about business. So if you want to know what a man is doing, if you want to know if you're in business or not, you should check, are you really making profit out of life or you are making losses out of life? So business is life and life is business. That's my definition of business.
That's a very key point.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Peter, and I want to ask you, you're into business, right?
Yes.
What inspired you into business?
All right. You see, one of the key things that inspired me to do my own business is because I realized that the only way to be able to help other people grow is when I do my own business. I love having time to myself and I love inspiring people. So I can't inspire people if I'm on a 9 to 5 job, So because I want to also take the perception of successful people, how they became successful and what they do to get to where they are today. If you repeat the same thing, you might get the same result. And that's why I choose to do my own business and grow.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Peter, I want to ask, and people would like to know as well, that what are the essential skills in running a successful business? A lot of people start business and they fail. So I want to know, what are those essential skills, or the qualities it takes in running a very successful business?
All right, I think I will categorically state it here that a successful business is not a gift.
Okay.
So it takes a whole lot of so many factors why you should succeed in business and the things that can help you to succeed in business. And number one of it is training. It is important that people get trained before they start anything,
Business.
any business,
at
any
all.
business. Yes, they must get trained. You see, it's just like, for instance, you don't read books to become a footballer.
No, at all.
You understand? So you need to practice. You need to be trained in that aspect. And what you're training yourself on is that you want to be a footballer, and that's why
Yeah.
you are training yourself. They will train you in the sport of footballing, not in other sport. So if people want to do business, if they want to go into business, they need to be trained in business-oriented courses that can help them to maneuver the hard times eventually if they encounter in the business. But a lot of people are not being trained. So they just go into business with assumption, most especially in Africa. So assumption does not make business work.
Yeah.
So people need to be trained before they step out into business. And that's the most essential factor. Yeah, thank you.
Really great. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Peter, as an entrepreneur that you are, you have a lot of things doing aside from business. You go to places, you run your family affairs. So, how do you, as an entrepreneur, manage your time with your business?
Okay, I also want to add something.
Okay.
The reason why business fail, I want to add something before I answer that question.
Okay.
Now, categorically, there are two reasons why business fail. Every other reason comes into it. Business fail, number one, because of personal reasons. And number two, because of institutional reasons. Now, when I talk about personal reasons, I've mentioned one already, which is training that I talked about. Number two is lack of experience. And number three is lack of knowledge of the business. You see,
It's almost similar to what you said earlier.
yes, So, if you want to understand how business works and why you shouldn't fail in business or how not to fail in business, you need to still understand that you need a check and balance between your life, that's your own personal life, and the business life. A business is a different entity from its owner. So a lot of people treat business the way they treat their usual life, but it's not the same. And that's why, in Nigeria especially, many people do business just for themselves and their family. So a lot of people don't know how to take their business to a global stage. So if you start with that mentality already, even if you start local, you don't have a global perspective or a global envisage of the future. Maybe you want to take the business from a local point to a global point, because you just do the business for you and your family alone. And now coming to trying to balance everyday life with your business life, you need to know that doing that will take a whole lot of work, and it will take a whole lot of planning. And that's where planning comes in. You see, planning is essential in business. There are certain things you do subconsciously or unconsciously as a result of the things you have learned over time. You will now learn to know that, okay, this one should come first, this one should come the second, this one should come the third. Do you understand? So in trying to balance your personal life or your family life with your business life, you must have the time you give to your own business personally and the time you give to your own self.
Life.
Yes. And that's where employability comes in. That's where you employ people.
Okay.
For instance, I do tell people, you don't employ people who you are smarter than to work with you.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will steal your time.
Yeah.
If I employ you, for instance, I employ you as an accountant into my organization, you should know accounting better than me.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't know accounting better than you or try to prove that I'm the boss here and try to prove that I know everything. And that alone will create more time for me to be able to do other things.
I think the work of the employee is to relieve stress from the employer.
Yes, stress and time.
Yeah.
Stress and time. Because if the employee knows what he or she is supposed to do, your time will be saved for you.
Yeah.
You, the employer, you have time to do other things and then you balance other things. So that time of you trying to do everything, if you have some reasonable people who you employ to work with you who are smarter too, you can now use that time and delve into other things and do better.
Thank you very much. That was really great. So, Mr. Peter, down to why businesses fail. So a lot of people do some common mistakes and they overlook it and just think that maybe I'm not doing it right, I'm not getting it. And they don't know that there are some things that they add to their businesses that is making it fail. So what are those most common mistakes that make businesses fail that a lot of entrepreneurs overlook and they don't know about it?
You see, some little forces that spoils the vines of business is that most people use assumption in business. Please hold that as a key. Just because you think something will work does not mean it will work in reality.
Yeah.
You understand? And a lot of people are too financial or they are too money conscious when they start out in business. When once the business is not making profit, are you getting my point now? Yeah. When once the business is not making profit, the way they think from the inception of the business or from the starting point of the business, they start thinking that this business cannot be able to work. You see, business takes time. And people don't have time. If you check in this dispensation, one thing people don't give to business is time. It takes minimum of 2 years and maximum of 7 years for you to know whether your business will succeed or not. The business must test you before it trusts you and before it start paying you.
Yeah.
So business takes time. It's just like a child. Let's take for instance, if a child is trying to walk while he's still crawling, you have to give the child
patient.
time, yes, for the child to start crawling down to where we start walking. And you that you're already walking already, as an adult, if you look at the child, you almost want to say this child is too slow. Why won't this child be like this?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it's because of your own perception.
Yeah.
So that is
It's a
why,
process.
yes, business is a process. It requires patience. It requires time. Please, we should understand that business is time consuming and is time intensive. Certain things will work in the business based on how people get to know you. Do you understand? So we should learn to give business time. I think we are failing in the aspect of time, and that's the major thing that is making a lot of people to fail in business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Peter. So, in starting your own business as an entrepreneur, what was those challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it? Because the challenges you faced when you were starting yours might be the challenge another entrepreneur is facing right now. That they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to fix it. So, what are those challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, thank you. I think one of the things that make me easily overcome challenges in business is reading. I'll recommend that to anybody.
Research.
Yes, reading. I study hard. I read every now and then. And the reason why I'm reading is not because I just read for fun. No, I read for the future. In other words, I read ahead of time so that there are some problems that I know I will encounter eventually in the business. How do I maneuver them? There are certain acts that I just portray subconsciously. They just come to play. Do you understand? In the event of me encountering challenge, they came to play because I know them in one way or the other. Maybe as an avid reader, I might have read how to overcome this kind of challenge in one way or the other that I might not take into cognizance. But it will happen just subconsciously. I will just act in a way that will look more professional and then handles the whole situation. So if you must encounter challenges and overcome them in your business, you must give time to reading things or read about people who are in the same line of the kind of business you are doing. And then ensure that you pinpoint on the challenges they face also, and then how they could be able to come out of those challenges. If you get those things tip by tip, you don't have anything to fear. Next time when you face the same challenge, you know what to do to overcome it. Overcoming challenges is not a rocket science. It's something that you must know that you know about. And number 2 things I usually do that help me to overcome so many challenges because I do things for people before I ask for payment. I do services pro bono for people. It's called pro bono service, in management. I do things for people before I ask you to pay me in returns.
This was pro bono service.
Pro bono is service you render ahead of time before you are being paid.
Okay.
I do that a lot. I always do beyond what you think you can pay me. So that eventually you now look at it and say, okay, there are people who are still passionate about what they do.
Yes.
Because what I do touches my passion. Do you understand? So people must learn not to always be financial or money focused in doing things. Render the service and then the money will come. Money is a reward.
Yes.
That's how I see it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, Mr. Peter, how do you build and maintain a very strong team in your business? Why growing your business? You have a lot of employees.
Yeah.
So how do you build them? How do you make them to stand out for your competitors?
All right, thank you. You see, everything I can be able to do, everybody who works with me can do them.
Okay.
I don't train them.
That's really good.
Yeah, I do tell them if I'm not here, anytime,
able to represent.
yes. I started out a particular computer firm, recently, a training firm. And then the guys I employed to work with me, I gave them a thorough training of everything I know.
Okay.
Now, I gave them those training because I know I won't be too resident. The organization can work perfectly fine without my presence.
Yes.
And that's how I build things. I don't build things and get myself attached to it, no. Because I need time to do other things. I travel a lot. You understand? So because I know the kind of person I am, and because of my, my schedule, I will not build the business around myself alone. A lot of people build business around themselves.
Because they don't want the employees to steal the business.
Yes, they feel the employee. But there is nothing you can do about that.
Yes.
Employee are there not just to earn, but to learn.
To learn. Yeah.
So eventually, if you are trying to do that to build the business around yourself, you are trying to tie yourself down. I see a lot of people do that. Some people, do call me and say, hello, I am trying to hide this thing from my employee so that they cannot know the secret of the business. They cannot know what they are doing. You are just a joker because your time will be consumed.
Yeah.
You are the employer. You should be able to have time to do other things. I think no successful human being on earth, no successful wealthy businessman on earth do one thing. And the moment you build your business around yourself alone, you are telling yourself that you just want to do only this one thing.
Yes, you don't want to grow.
You don't want to grow, or you don't want to do other things. You must diversify at some point. So in order for you to have enough time to diversify and not care about whether your business is working, yes, and not care whether the business will fail or whether your business is running perfectly well, you need to train them to know what you know. You'll still be the boss. It doesn't matter. But you need to train them to know what you know and train them to do what you can do. So I train everybody that works with me, and I don't treat them just like ordinary people. The word team is a very strong word. The way people just define the word is the reason why people see. See, if you are creating a team, the team must think the way you think.
Yes.
That's where you have a headway. But you can't just say you gather some group of people and you say they are your team and they are not thinking. Yes, most of them will just be, they will just be working there for the fun of it. Some of them will be working there because they need to be paid. But the moment you train their mind to start thinking like you, that's when you have a team. They give
you ideas too.
Yes, that's when you have a team. You don't have a team if they can't think the way you think because they cannot see where you are going. So definitely they are not in your team. Yes. Every team in a football, for instance, all of them want to work together to win a match. Yes. So all of you want to work right now to win a particular business or to win in this business. So they need to think the same way. They need to be in cooperation with one another for them to be able to achieve the goal and the objectives of the organization. So thank you. That's what I think.
That's a very good key point. Thank you very much for that. So Mr. Peter, I also want to ask, all through your journey as an entrepreneur, what lessons have you learned that you are willing to share?
Wow, I think that's a good question. Yes.
So what lesson have you learned? Like, this if I should put this strategy into any business, or if this upcoming entrepreneur should use this step, they are going to fail. So you wouldn't want others to go through that process too. So what are those mistakes that you made and you've learned as a lesson that you don't want others to go through?
Okay, I think I will answer this question in two ways. Okay. Right, in two ways. We have time to talk, so let me answer it in two ways. Okay. First of all, I've learned a lot in my process in business. I learned from people ahead of me. Okay. I learned how to do business in a corporate manner. I render services. Okay. So I learned how to do business in a corporate manner from my elder brother. Wow. Yes. I saw the way he coordinates things. He has a strong spirit of coordination. I saw the way he coordinates things. I saw the way he handled matter. I saw the way he handled issue. And I didn't take light of them. So while others were working with him, learning in any other way, but me, I was learning constructively. Okay. I was not 100% too present with him, but anytime I come to the office, I see how he does things. Mm-hmm. So I was learning because I know where I'm going, so that I can be able to duplicate the same thing he's doing. So in my journey as an entrepreneur, I've learned a lot. And some of the things I learned is the ABC of business. I learned to know that you need to act in business to learn in business.
You need to act
in business to learn in business. Wow. You need to take action, the ABC of business. You need to take action. That is, any business that comes to you as an idea, anything that comes to you as an idea, just start it. Ideas doesn't come out fully formed. Yeah. You understand? They started gaining energy. They started gaining themselves, or they started getting formed on the process of the business. So business is a procession. So anything I want to do, I will just start it and start learning in it. Do you understand? Yes. So if other spectators are outside, just like a spectator, he knows better than the player. Yes. So if you start, that's action. When you take action and start the business, the next thing for me to do that I used to do, that I think people should do, is to get a coach. You might be a better player than the coach, but the coach goal is for you guys to win a football match. So the coach might understand the game better than you that just understand your own role, either as a defender, as a midfielder, or as a striker. You see now. So the coach that is watching from the outside is seeing the loophole you are not seeing. Yes. A player doesn't see the loophole that the spectators are seeing. It's the spectator that can shout and say, Ronaldo would have passed this ball to this person. But it's not easy for Ronaldo. He might not see what you are seeing because he is not a spectator. So a coach is not like somebody who's a spectator to tell you that, look, this is the loophole here. A coach might just make one statement. I've had people that I just give them a tip of advice and tell them, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. And they will just do it. It will look simple, but they themselves cannot come up with that idea. Because you can't be in a level kind of thought, in certain level kind of thought, to create a problem to solve it. You have to step ahead. So somebody else who is higher than you need to see ahead of you to tell you this what to do. So that's where business consultant comes in. That I usually ask questions from people that I think they are doing similarly, thing that I'm doing, but they are ahead of me. Okay. You understand? And the third thing is boldness. You see, customers are not difficult to please in business. They just want to see that they are persuaded enough to patronize you. Do you understand? So when it comes, that's the ABC. I'm trying to give you the A. The A is action, what I've learned so far. The B is boldness. You understand? So even if you are doing the wrong thing, do it with boldness. Yes. It will help you a lot. Customer just want to see that,
so even if you're advertising the fake products,
do it with boldness. Yes, just do it with boldness because it will help you. Okay. At least you can come up some other time and then start telling them that, okay, this is the better one. It's just like China. Yeah. That's what China did. China came with phones, different phone. In those days, they will tell you, okay, this is not Nokia, this is China. Chinko, we used to call it China phone. So quantity will become quality over time. Fake product will become quality over time. Because as you are producing more with boldness, you are learning the things that could work and the things that cannot work. Yes. So eventually, you must come up with a quality over time. Yes. And then now, people are no longer talking about Chinko. If anybody is using Techno now, you can't call it a China phone. You can't. You see now, the word China phone is gone already. Yes. And because they have the boldness to start,
they kept on producing.
They kept on producing until quantity became quality. Wow. Because the more you keep producing, the more you keep seeing some mistakes, you keep seeing some loopholes, you keep seeing the things you need to correct. I think we
should actually learn from them.
Yes.
The boldness.
The boldness to just start anything. And then the C there is credibility. Credibility. When you tell a customer this is how it is, please let them not find you doing otherwise. Yes. Credibility has a whole lot of things to do with your business. I realized lately that people don't buy product, they buy personality. Yes. And that is why they bring celebrities to do adverts for most of the product. Do you know why? Because people buy personality, not even the product. So the first thing to learn how to sell is yourself. But if you are not somebody who has credibility, who has integrity, you can't sell anything for somebody else to buy. You can only get a customer attention. A customer is not somebody who buys from you once. That's a buyer. A customer is somebody who repeatedly buys from you. That's who a customer is. An habitual buyer is a customer. So if somebody buys from you once and the person realizes that you lack credibility, or based on what you just do A and B and then just cook up something and then cheat the person or do something else, the person might not come back. And you see, sales in business is not generated from having new customers, it's generated from repeated buyers, which is a customer. So credibility has a lot of things to do in your process as a business person. So you must not joke with those things. So you see, this action, boldness, and credibility is what I've learned so far. And those are the things that I use to guide my own territory as a businessman, as a management consultant. I do train people too. If I tell them my words, some of them will go for interview. They will say, sir, this thing you said, this is how it is, so this is how it is. A guy woke up to me and he said, they say you should submit a CV somewhere that he wants to be a safety officer. And I told him, I said, look, it will take you minimum of 2 weeks for you to learn everything that entails in safety. Yeah. He says, sir, please, I don't have time. Just help me. I need to do this training. I need to go. I need to get this job. I need to do it. And I told him, okay, you should come for just one Saturday. I took him through the most essential area of the safety, the question that probably he might ask. And eventually when he gets there, during the interview, he saw similar questions being asked. And upon the old people that came there, he was given the job. And this is still an active serving corps member. He was supposed to pass out the following month. But there are other people who have passed out already. You see now. So it's because I have the integrity to tell him that I know what will come, I know what will come. Otherwise, I will just train him on other things. He will just go and realize he failed in the interview. Yes. He can't recommend anybody to me again. At all. I mind recommendation in business a lot. And recommendation comes from credibility. Yes. When people believe in you, they recommend you.
Yeah.
Most of the things, most of the places, the platform I've spoken, the platform I've gone to several churches, I've spoken. Most of the platform I've gone to places and spoken. Most of those things come from recommendation. There are people that just speak somewhere, they say, this guy, he has it, Okay, I've been recommended in places.
He has what it takes.
Yes, otherwise I would just sit down and be doing my own keen business. But because of the credibility, he has what it takes. He has known what he needs to know. This guy has it. He can be able to deliver. You people will not regret it. And I will make sure that those people who recommend me, I don't fail them.
Yeah.
And I'll give my best. So those ABC of business is very important.
So if
Thank
not
you.
for any other thing, at least I should take ABC home.
Yeah.
Action, boldness, and credibility. Thank you
yes.
very much, sir.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Peter, I want to ask, in the next 5 to 10 years, where do you see your business or you yourself going to?
You see, I recently, thank you for this question. I think in June, I usually divide my life in 7 years.
Okay. 7 years.
Yes, I divide my life in 7 years plan, into 7 years plan. So in June, 2020 completed another 7 years phase of my life.
Okay.
So in June, I mapped out a plan. You see, business go global in 3 ways.
Okay.
Number one, most of the big businesses, you see, they sell shares. And the reason why they shares is because they alone cannot do the business. And eventually, when they start doing the business, those people they sell shares, we will be praying for them so that the business will not fail, so that their money will not go. So a lot of people want them to succeed. Number two, you franchise. You can sell franchise and just make sure the people do similar thing anyway. Let them take your name, let them use it, let them establish and everything. And the third one is to branch out. Branching out is the most difficult thing. And that's why when an average business in Nigeria branches out to 1 or 2 states, they will think they are successful. Because branching out is hard. Because from the headquarters, you have to be doing all those things. So having known all those things, that I now know that, okay, this is how I can take my business from local to global in the next 7 years. I've started mapping out plans. And some of the plans are mapped out are confidential.
Wow.
Yes.
So you don't mind sharing it?
Yes, of course. If I start sharing it now, other people will learn from me, I only do that when I train people on business development. Okay. That's those people who needs to learn in business, who wants to know how to become global. Because if you check a lot of business in Nigeria, they only start local and die local, or they die within Nigeria.
It's true.
But if you go to other countries, only few business you go to, like telecom, like my Kadenuga Telecom, you see in Benin, or you see in Cameroon also, or the neighboring countries. But it's difficult. But if you go to other international or in the Western world, you see some of the companies in the Western world in Nigeria. Yes. Companies such as the Big Four, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, PwC, that's PricewaterhouseCoopers, and KPMG. Those businesses have stand the test of time. Then Diageo, Guinness, so many other businesses that you see. Microsoft Word, if you see Microsoft is along this CMS road and all. So those businesses came from abroad, but they are in Nigeria. How did they come into Nigeria? Nobody's asking that question. But if an average Nigerian starts a business, he will allow the business to die with him here in Nigeria. Simply because they don't know how to go global with their business. And those 3 things I mentioned are the only way you can go global. That's why you see at some point Facebook came up. They started selling shares. You can choose to buy the share. The more you buy the share, you can't speak ill of where you want to earn from.
Yes.
That's the idea. So you'll be praying for them to succeed. So you'll be using more of the Facebook. You'll even be recommending more people. So if they tell you that, okay, because you have shares with us, recommend our business to people, you start recommending them unconsciously.
Of course.
And then another one that I mentioned after, what's it called? Selling shares. What did I mention? Franchising. Mr. Biggs is in Nigeria, but Mr. Biggs is not owned by a Nigerian.
Wow.
Chicken Republic is in Nigeria, but they are franchised. They have their standard, the way their building is supposed to be. There are so many businesses like that, the way their building is supposed to be. The same thing with banks.
I mean, I know about Mr. Biggs not being owned by a Nigerian, but I don't know about Chicken Republic.
Yes, of course. Do you know why? Now, I'm simply trying to tell you about franchise. Okay. You might not know, but the thing is, they have similar buildings. They will not even disturb you by telling you bring money or no. They will give you their typical structure, systems and structure. We are not going into that now. So systems and structure is what they put in place. So they will tell you, this is our structure of our building. Do you know that if you build a building different from the structure of Mr. Biggs, they will not approve it?
Wow.
Yes, they will not approve it because it's a franchise. Do you understand? The same thing with Chicken Republic. Do you understand? The same thing with other places like other banks and everything you see. They will not approve it simply because they want their business to go global. They want to see that they have a global structure, a global system that can operate everywhere. And then the third one is to branch out. And part of the place to check in branching out is the church system. Living Faith Church is everywhere in the world. Redeem is everywhere in the world.
Yes.
So those three key things are important to branch
Thank you
out.
very much, Mr. Peter.
You're
So,
welcome.
Mr. Peter, so what's your final parting to the upcoming entrepreneurs? What are your advice to them to keep them going in business?
All right. I think I will want to advise anyone who wants to go into entrepreneurship that entrepreneurship is a journey. It does not have a destination.
Okay.
Yes, it's a journey. And in the journey, that's when you learn so many things. You cannot start something and then at the end of the day, you want that thing to work when you want it as when you want it. So some business might look as if they will not work when you start as an entrepreneur, but eventually the end has a light in it. So just keep pushing. Just keep pushing again and again. I think it will help them.
Thank you, viewers. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Light Africa TV, and all other platforms on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you.